Young singers with polished TikTok-style vocals, nervous 20-somethings chasing viral moments, power ballads, emotional backstories, the usual formula. Then a 60-year-old man named Raymond Walker walked onto the stage carrying absolutely none of the nervous energy producers expected. No dramatic entrance, no flashy outfit, no desperate attempt to sound modern. Just a calm smile, silver hair, worn leather boots, and the relaxed confidence of someone who had already lived enough life to stop worrying about impressing strangers. At first glance, many people in the audience reportedly assumed Raymond might struggle during auditions. Not because of his age alone, but because music competition shows rarely spotlight older contestants beyond quick inspirational montages. But according to crew members backstage, something changed the second Raymond introduced himself, especially for will.i.am. Because within minutes, what started as a normal audition somehow transformed into one of the strangest, funniest, and unexpectedly heartwarming coach interactions the show had ever seen. And it all started with Raymond's voice. Not his singing voice, his speaking voice. Deep, smooth, warm. The kind of voice that instantly sounds familiar even when you've never heard it before. When Raymond first answered the coach's pre-performance questions, audience members reportedly laughed softly because his voice sounded almost absurdly cinematic. Several people later compared it to a classic radio announcer mixed with a movie trailer narrator. Even the other coaches visibly reacted. One reportedly joked, "Sir, why does it sound like you're narrating my life right now?" The audience laughed immediately. Raymond simply smiled. "Well," he replied calmly, "I used to do local radio years ago." That answer instantly caught will.i.am's attention. According to audience members, you could actually see him lean forward in his chair looking fascinated before the performance even began. Because beyond music, will.i.am has always openly loved sound itself. Rhythm, tone, texture, voice. He notices unusual audio details most people ignore. And Raymond's voice had presence, the kind you feel immediately. Still, nobody expected what happened next. When the music started, Raymond delivered a soulful, old-school performance that stunned the room almost instantly. Instead of trying to imitate younger singers or chase trendy vocal styles, he leaned fully into rich, bluesy storytelling vocals that felt timeless. The audience erupted halfway through the first chorus. One by one, chairs started turning. First one coach, then another. Finally, will.i.am slammed his button dramatically near the end of the performance while grinning like he'd just discovered something genuinely exciting. By the time the song finished, the entire studio stood applauding. But strangely, the most memorable part of the audition hadn't even happened yet. Because after the performance ended, will.i.am skipped the usual coach pitch entirely. Instead, he stared at Raymond for several seconds before suddenly saying, "Bro, your speaking voice is insane." The audience burst into laughter. Raymond looked confused but amused. "No, seriously," will.i.am continued. "Say something again." The crowd laughed harder. At this point, even the other coaches realized something weird and hilarious was unfolding naturally. Raymond shrugged casually. "Well, thank you, I suppose." The second he spoke, will.i.am jumped from his chair dramatically. "That's what I'm talking about." The audience completely lost it. According to people inside the studio, producers were already signaling camera operators to keep rolling because the interaction had become comedy gold unexpectedly fast. Then things became even stranger. will.i.am suddenly started improvising fake movie trailer voiceovers with Raymond live on stage. "In a world," will.i.am began dramatically. Raymond instantly continued in his deep cinematic tone, "where nobody expected a 60-year-old man to steal the show." The audience exploded. Even the coaches were doubled over laughing now. What started as a normal talent competition suddenly looked like an improv comedy sketch between two people who had somehow known each other for years, except they had literally just met. That spontaneous chemistry became the heart of what made the moment instantly unforgettable. will.i.am kept going. "This summer," Raymond continued smoothly, "one man discovers his true purpose." will.i.am pointed dramatically toward the audience. "To win!" Raymond lowered his voice even deeper. "The voice!" The studio absolutely erupted. According to audience members, filming reportedly paused briefly because people were laughing too hard to continue properly. Social media clips later spread online at lightning speed once previews aired. Fans became obsessed with the bizarre but hilarious interaction between the ultra-creative music producer and the calm 60-year-old contestant who somehow matched his chaotic energy perfectly. One viral TikTok comment read, "Why do they sound like they've been podcast co-hosts for 20 years? Another wrote, "This instantly became my favorite voice moment ever." But underneath the humor, viewers also connected emotionally with Raymond himself. because unlike many contestants chasing fame desperately, Raymond carried himself with peaceful confidence. During post-performance interviews, he explained that he spent most of his life balancing music with regular jobs to support his family. He'd worked construction, local radio, night shifts, community events. For decades, singing remained something he loved privately rather than professionally. "I never thought this would happen at my age," he admitted quietly. That honesty shifted the atmosphere again. Suddenly, the audience wasn't just laughing anymore. They were rooting for him deeply. will.i.am especially seemed emotionally invested almost immediately. According to backstage footage later released online, he kept randomly asking Raymond to say things throughout the episode simply because he loved hearing the guy talk. At one point, will.i.am reportedly handed Raymond random objects backstage, asking him to narrate them dramatically. "A coffee machine," Raymond responded instantly. "In a world running on exhaustion, one machine stands between humanity and total collapse." Crew members reportedly lost control laughing. Another clip showed producers asking Raymond to read ordinary production announcements over the loudspeaker because his voice sounded so ridiculously cinematic. Even contestants backstage became fans instantly. One singer later joked online, "I forgot we were competing because I just wanted Raymond to narrate my life choices." The internet agreed completely. Soon after the episode aired, clips of Raymond and will.i.am accumulated millions of views across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Fans started creating memes imagining Raymond narrating everyday situations. "When you open the fridge at 2 a.m., in a world where leftovers become destiny." Another viral edit featured Raymond narrating someone missing their alarm clock dramatically like an action movie trailer. Unexpectedly, Raymond became one of the season's breakout personalities almost overnight. And honestly, much of that happened because of will.i.am. Instead of treating the older contestant like a sentimental side story, he treated him like someone genuinely interesting and creatively exciting. That difference mattered to viewers. Reality competition shows sometimes unintentionally make older contestants feel like novelty acts. will.i.am never did that. He seemed sincerely fascinated by Raymond's talent, personality, and presence. That authenticity became incredibly important online. One fan wrote, "will.i.am saw something unique in him immediately instead of focusing on age." Another commented, "This is why good coaches matter. He made Raymond feel special instead of outdated." As the competition continued, the unlikely friendship between the two only became more entertaining. Behind-the-scenes clips showed them constantly improvising fake commercials, movie trailers, and dramatic narrations together backstage. Producers reportedly started deliberately pairing them for digital content because audiences loved their chemistry so much. At one point, will.i.am convinced Raymond to narrate a completely ridiculous fake trailer about cafeteria sandwiches. The result somehow became one of the show's most viewed social media clips of the season. "In a world where turkey meets destiny." Fans couldn't get enough. But beyond the comedy, something surprisingly emotional also developed between them. During mentoring sessions, Raymond opened up more about why he auditioned at 60 years old after spending decades putting music aside for work and family responsibilities. "There's always this voice telling you it's too late," he admitted during one emotional rehearsal segment. will.i.am immediately shook his head. "Nah," he said firmly, "too late is when you stop trying completely." That moment resonated deeply online, because while the funny voiceover clips initially attracted viewers, Raymond's story kept them emotionally invested afterwards. Many older viewers especially connected with him strongly. Social media flooded with comments from people saying they'd abandoned creative dreams years earlier because life became too busy, practical, or financially difficult. Raymond suddenly represented something powerful, the idea that passion doesn't expire. One particularly emotional Facebook comment read, "I'm 58 years old and this man just inspired me to pick up my guitar again." Another wrote, "Thank you for showing people that talent doesn't disappear with age." Meanwhile, will.i.am continued championing Raymond constantly throughout the competition. Unlike some coaches who focus heavily on technical perfection, he seemed more interested in authenticity, originality, and emotional presence. And Raymond had all three naturally. Even when younger contestants delivered flashier performances, audiences often remembered Raymond most afterward because he felt different from typical competition singers. Real, grounded, comfortable in his own skin. That quality became incredibly refreshing to viewers tired of overly polished performances. Interestingly, several entertainment commentators later noted how unusual the Raymond storyline felt compared to standard reality TV narratives. Instead of centering drama, conflict, or tragedy, audiences became invested through joy, humor, creativity, and genuine connection. People simply enjoyed watching him exist on screen, especially alongside will.i.am, because somehow the contrast between them made everything even better. One was an energetic, futuristic music producer obsessed with innovation and chaos. The other was a calm 60-year-old man with the voice of a classic movie narrator and old-school soul energy. On paper, the friendship made no sense. On television, it worked perfectly. Their interactions felt spontaneous in a way reality TV rarely achieves anymore. At one point during rehearsals, producers reportedly caught them improvising fake documentary narration about contestants searching for snacks backstage. "In the wild environment of The Voice," Raymond narrated dramatically. will.i.am immediately whispered like a natural documentary host. "The hungry vocalist approaches the vending machine carefully." Crew members could reportedly barely operate cameras because they were laughing too hard. Even the other coaches became fans of the duo eventually. Several episodes later, one joked, "At this point, I think will.i.am adopted Raymond." Honestly, viewers kind of agreed.
As the season progressed, the pair developed one of the most unexpectedly wholesome mentor-contestant dynamics the franchise had seen in years. And though Raymond never became the season's biggest vocalist technically, he arguably became one of its most memorable personalities emotionally, because people weren't just watching him sing anymore. They were watching somebody rediscover joy, confidence, and creative energy later in life. That journey mattered deeply to audiences, especially in a culture obsessed with youth. Raymond's success challenged the quiet assumption that dreams come with expiration dates. Week after week, viewers watched a 60-year-old man surprise himself by thriving in an environment designed mostly for younger artists, and standing beside him constantly cheering him forward was will.i.am, who never once treated age like a limitation. Instead, he treated Raymond like inspiration. By the time Raymond's journey on The Voice eventually ended, audiences had become deeply attached to him. His farewell episode reportedly generated emotional reactions online far beyond what producers expected initially. Fans flooded comment sections thanking him for bringing warmth, humor, and authenticity to the season. But perhaps the most emotional moment came after his final performance. Standing on stage under dim lights, Raymond thanked will.i.am for believing in him. Before he could continue, will.i.am interrupted. "No," he said softly. "Thank you for reminding everybody that creativity has no